G'day, I'm Ash. I hope you're all doing fantastically well, and welcome to the new microphone. I know. And just so you get an idea of what this microphone sounds like comparatively to what we had previously, I'm going to run through a series of tests, and we're going to show you what my microphone has sounded like over the years. And then we're going to jump back to this one. So enjoy the audio compilation coming up right now. G'day guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Ash7. The channel has reached 1,000 subscribers. Thank you very much, all of you. G'day ladies and gents, welcome back to the channel. I'm Ash, hope you're all doing well. Welcome aboard the heavily requested Sea Venom. We're back in Bomber Crew, and I need to keep content flowing, and yesterday, my microphone fell off its microphone arm, and broke. The F-11 is obviously a Operation Summer vehicle, and whilst a superb looking aircraft in War Thunder, it's quite lackluster, so we're going to talk about that one briefly. But I sincerely hope you're enjoying yourself, hope you're relaxed, hope everything is going well, because welcome to Crash with Ash episode 51. For those who don't know what is happening here, essentially, we talk about all the things going on behind the scenes, and obviously we talk about stories, and I tell you a bunch of interesting things, and the goings on behind the channel. I do these on a monthly basis. I probably should do less and less of them, but hey, that's probably just an opinion of mine rather than something that's going on. Now, obviously this episode is dedicated to my cat, Chaos, who unfortunately passed away on the 26th of August. Rather suddenly, he looks like he... From analysis, it looked like he passed away as a result of a heart attack. And he didn't show any signs of illness. It was really sort of sudden. And, of course, he had to die in 2020. The worst year in existence. And I suppose that's just something that you're going to have to deal with. Anyway, today's topics, we're going to be talking about the channel. We're going to talk about live streaming. We're also going to talk about the PC upgrade plan, because obviously those NVIDIA RTX cards, this 3000 series, are looking quite interesting. Waiting for benchmarks on those. We'll talk about book progress and the documentaries that I've been working on in the background, which has been busting my back, literally. Obviously, we'll talk about a few scenarios, and then obviously we'll talk about, I guess, story time with Ash, and that's going to be also fantastic too. And we'll also read some of your comments as well, so that's all fancy. With the intro done now, go into our first topic. Recently, I've started live streaming more often again. Obviously, I have a Twitch channel. Do follow that. It'll be in the link in the description down below. But I've been streaming once a week, and we do some random things, have some fun. Sometimes I do squads, sometimes we do custom battles, sometimes I just play solo and interact with the chat. But I've had immense fun doing that. I think that's sort of a learning experience, because I guess video editing, in a way, you edit out all your mistakes. You have the footage pre-recorded already. You don't have that option. You've then got to turn that footage, or whatever that is, into some sort of action and make that some sort of engagement, or that commentary, or whatever you're trying to put into a video file, and then it's got to go to YouTube. With, I guess, live streaming and the services that provides, you have one job. You have to output your audio, your game, you have to manage everything. It's a live broadcast for a reason. It is incredibly interesting process, and I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm terrible at it, but that's okay, because my skills are mainly diverse in video creation rather than, per se, live streaming. And while I have enjoyed doing live streaming a lot, I guess it's just a bit of a break. At the moment, I feel not motivated enough to make content on YouTube as is. It's a sort of this weird stage. YouTube's in this really sort of finicky place at the moment. I am not enjoying watching other content creators on YouTube. And that's not a dig at any of them. It's just the way the system works. The intrusive ads, the intrusive different things on mobile devices, it just really gets in the way. And I suppose live streaming is that bit of a brief break there. Your direct interaction with the community, you're receiving feedback directly live. It's fantastic fun. But it also comes with its own challenges. Obviously, you can't say certain things. You can't edit out your mistakes. So whatever it is, it comes off more raw and authentic as a proper gamer, or whatever you want to do. So I've been having fun with that one, and we've been aiming to stream once a week, usually on a Monday or a Wednesday, but sometimes I do it other days depending on what. And there's no set time. It is just dependent on whether I feel like streaming or not. So we'll be experimenting with that more, and I've heard a rumour down the line that Twitch drops for War Thunder are coming back. So we'll obviously be doing that and partaking in that, because that was a fun experience. I miss those days, because we did custom battles, we did hide and seek, we did swordfish versus, I believe it was, I can't remember what destroyer it was one of the German ones. We also had what was it, bombers versus biplanes, we did races, and we did a whole host of things. We did the soccer tank map. There was a whole heap of different things too, and I had great fun doing that one. And that's what really what's boosted my channel to the size that it is now, and I'm actually not sure how many followers I have on Twitch. Again, it's not something I really utilise that well. Hold on, have a look. Yeah, I'm at 3.1k followers, which is good, but not exactly great. Obviously, that's all boosted because of the Twitch drops and what have you. So people were just following because they thought that that would get them their free items in War Thunder itself. But a lot of you sticked around, and a lot of you were like, hang on, you're a pretty chill guy, you know, I might come back and watch this guy more often, and a lot of you agreed with that. Regardless, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I'm due for another stream. I think I might do one tomorrow. In fact, we might even do one right as this video goes live, who knows. And obviously there's been a huge amount of challenges with content creation recently, which is why I kind of feel that the channel has been rather stagnant, rather flat. Unless we're talking about new patch day where everything is new and fresh and exciting, generally speaking, everything that has happened recently sort of culminates into one sort of event. I needed a new microphone to sound professional again. It's not that I didn't sound professional, it's just the audio quality was absolutely piss poor, as you've seen by the introduction. And picking up this microphone was probably the best decision that I've ever done. This is the Shure SM7B. It sounds buttery smooth. In fact, I've even had to turn the bass down. It's still too bassy for my liking. I'm going to have to tweak the treble up. So there's going to be a bit of tweaking to get involved here, but from the outset, this microphone is fantastic. And I suppose that's one of the major reasons why I want the content to sort of improve. I usually have an idea of what I want to do with a channel, but executing that is another thing all in its entirety. So what do I mean by this channel is kind of stagnant? Well, I feel that people aren't necessarily as involved as they could be. That could be just War Thunder as a whole. That could be another game completely. But the views, the interaction are consistent to an extent, like, say, 700, 800 views, before trailing off completely. It'll be a random luck of chance whether it gets recommended to the algorithm, and then it gets taken up from there. That's one of the reasons why I hate YouTube at the moment so much. It's not just the algorithm, it's everything that goes on behind YouTube's back doors. You know, your thumbnails, your titles, your tags, the information you put everywhere, it all gets scanned, and everything is just fucking... It's... like, I can't even... Sorry, I should say... because that really is what I should be swearing, instead of using, you know, regular lingo. Not only have I struggled to find a voicing, my own unique voicing within the War Thunder community, I haven't found the content type that makes me happy enough to continuously doing that thing. See, everyone has their own unique style and their own unique phrasing on YouTube. And I'd say that what mine is being down to earth, but is that really a trait, or is that sort of a bad thing as a whole? Obviously, I've had a lot happen to me over the last 5 years, and sort of that all culminates into who I am as a person. But as a channel, as a brand... I've got to think about the possibilities of what I have to do in order to continue growing. Do I stagnate the channel even further by uploading one video of a different game, for example Bomber Crew, and then the next day upload a War Thunder thing? It's going to confuse the algorithm. I've got to continue, I suppose, getting on with what the algorithm wants, and that really, really irritates me, because I want to develop a broader community, something that of people that like the video games that I play. Or at least enjoy the content that I put out on YouTube. Part of the problem is YouTube recently has implemented mid-roll ads, and now videos that are shorter than 8 minutes in length now filled with advertisements. This can be twofold a good thing, because it means I can produce shorter content, I can have a post-roll, and then I can have a mid-roll, and that'll suffice for ad revenue. But you have creators that make 30, 40-minute videos now, which will shove mid-rolls in every single opportunity they can, so sometimes every 30, 40 seconds. But their actual video itself will probably be advertised or sponsored, and they'll have like a sponsor thing, which will have no ads at all. It interrupts the flow of the content. I don't understand why YouTube is becoming more and more anti-user friendly. I find myself watching the platform less and less. And I mean, as a content creator, right, you find that if you're making videos and you're making content for an audience, you won't have much time at all, if any, to watch other content creators. You'll have a dabble here and there and sort of figure out what the general know-how and etc. You'll look at your competitors and your close friends, and you'll decide sort of, okay, well, they're doing this, maybe I should be doing X or something. You know, you figure out what your unique voicing is. But boy, YouTube is becoming a very, very strange place. reports of people having, leaving their videos on, autoplay, for example, and they're getting weird sort of intrusive advertisements. These advertisements might actually automatically download stuff, and I've heard reports of that as well. So, unless the user actually engages in that, I don't know. Some people like watching those streams with they have the rain or the sound effects to go to sleep to. If you fill those videos full of mid-rolls, that's not going to do anything for anyone, is it? It's not really helping anything. Sure, the algorithm likes watch time, but at what expense? And obviously there's all these advertisements for your merchandise and your Patreons and your Twitch subscriptions and your memberships, and there's so many ways you can support a creator now, it's a little overwhelming. For example, you could have affiliate links, you could have pop-ups, you could have like, comment, subscribes pop up, you could have, there's an immense amount of monetary expansionism that YouTube provides, which is fantastic for the right creator. But what I'm finding, and this is, I interviewed a couple of other content creators recently about this kind of thing, and they found, well, it's actually really hard to do because you've got to produce regular content. But how do you integrate that so that your followers don't blindside you because you've put in an advert for Raidy Shady or Raid Shadow Legends, for example? And I know some of my fellow War Thunder creators have actually got advertised by Raid Shadow Legends, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Income is an income, but at what expense is that going to be cost? Your reputation? I don't know. Sometimes some things aren't necessarily worth all they're lived up to. And while that is somewhat sad, I guess content creation on YouTube is a funny place. Even doing live streams on YouTube is really sort of a strange experience. I know a lot of people do dual streams where they stream from multiple different platforms, etc. But again, it's something that's so strange with... I can't really put it into words. Actually, if you're watching this far into the video, have you... found yourself more irritated at YouTube or at any sort of social media where you follow a favourite creator of yours? I'd like to know down in the comments below. Obviously, I don't really count in that equation there because I shouldn't be your favourite content creator. I am just a lad who does videos occasionally and now has this beautiful microphone. But still, the question stands. Do you find yourself mildly irritated by content just based on the fact the intrusive ads and so on and so forth? I understand there's ad blocker and all those other sort of add-ons that you can add to your browsers. Won't necessarily affect anything aside from blocking the ads completely, although YouTube is now even implementing sort of white ad blocks in the actual videos, which you can't prevent ads from, being blocked in the actual video itself, which I guess is an interesting way of saying, they're trying to find a workaround for ad blocker, but at the same time, it's like, oh, you're finding all these other ways to advertise. And I guess it's not a bad thing, but from my point of view, it's just really irritating in a way, because you have to find space to put all these advertisements, Some say you can advertise your Instagram, your Facebook, your Twitter, your social medias, everything that you sort of do, your Discord servers, everything. It's all about promotion. If you're not promoting enough, you sort of end up in this weird thing. It's like, I actually like watching regular content. I don't know about you, but people that do, advertise perfectly in a perfect world, channels like Mustard, who I have an increasingly jealousy of just because of the quality of videos he puts out. There are certain other channels too, you got Wendover Productions, for example, where it's content for 5 minutes followed by another minute of explaining what the actual original title or video concept was about, followed by a swift transition to the advert, and you never really actually get whatever the total answer of the video is. It's sort of like a skirt around sort of side scenario. Look, the point of the story is I'm really passionate about what I do here. I enjoy making videos, but at the same time I'm struggling because I have no direct sort of goal. There is no goal in mind here with the channel. It just miraculously got to 21,000 subscribers. I still don't know, and still don't understand how that is possible. Obviously, that's probably due to algorithmic stuff and obviously what I'm doing, but I've always aimed to be down to earth and try to present myself as neutral and as basically humble as I possibly can be. Why is that? Well, I find that if you put on a forced personality, and obviously the personality on this channel is not a made-up thing, that is who I am in the real world. A few of the subscribers and a few of the moderators have actually met me in person, and they've said, I'm a pretty relaxed, chillax dude. So keeping an appearance up publicly is really an interesting sort of, and that's a side subject again. See, you could go off on tangents and go round and round in circles in an enforceable amount of time because There are so many things that could go wrong. And I suppose that's why I really have been keeping to myself. I sort of haven't really been talking to anyone. I don't know, I just find it really interesting because, more importantly, I'm keeping more information about my life out of the internet as a whole. I find I have to be very selective on what I'm saying now because I'm now becoming an established creator, as some might call me. But at the same time, I don't think of myself as someone utterly successful. Look at the channel, it's rather stagnant. That's because, obviously, we've discussed this with the microphones and several other different things, and obviously the content as a whole. But I think in the term coined for this be social media distancing. Like we have to do the social distancing, etc., etc. What really social media has become, and this sort of plague and epidemic that we have in proportion, that runs parallel with the fact that we have access to fantastic chat services. And I can message a friend of mine from the other side of the world in less than 30 seconds. After you say, hello, how you going? You know, he can respond in 4 seconds. I think that is utterly a fantastic feat of human innovation. And I suppose that's kind of why I've been keeping a lot of information out of the channel, and I've been keeping as much as I can away from the regular user base. Why? I don't know. I suppose it's just really going through the chat history of texts and discords, some of the old comments on videos, and even some of the older tweets and things. It can make you feel either sad, happy, or nostalgic. Those feelings mixed together are the worst combination that induces some sort of, I don't know, thing in your primitive human brain that tells you how we feel. And it also tells you how emotionally charged and deprived we can be. Because we are social creatures, right? So, reading some of the comments and some of the over-the-chat history really makes you wonder what happened to that person. If you're talking to someone else and they left, it's like, oh, did I do something wrong? What happened here? Why is this like this? Was I the inherent problem here? You start questioning everything in that sort of realm. That's just human survival. That's what we do. But if you keep some things off the internet, if you meet those people that you hang out with on a regular basis on the internet, right? They can say, oh, you know, I saw that thing you posted on the internet the other day. You had a great meal at yada, yada, yada. Well, what else do you have to talk about? You have nothing, right? Oh, say, you know, you're posting everything on social media. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. There are examples of that one. You know, you went to this person's birthday party and you got completely wasted. You know, there's pictures of it on the internet. What is actually going to inherently happen with that? Like, why is that such a big thing? Because you already know about that. You've already seen that on social media. What are you going to talk about in person? So I do think the coinage of the term social media distancing, whether that being disabling your Facebook account or your Twitter account, is really a good thing. Granted, I'm not that present on social media as a whole. It's the weird side of the internet that I don't really like touching. As things and stuff become more mainstream, they lose their inherent, ability to be, I don't know, it's not freedom of speech per se, it's none of that, it's nothing in that category, but it loses some of its authenticity and its original intended purpose as the narrative of that particular platform changes over time. For example, I used to have Snapchat, well I don't anymore, I deleted the account. I used to have Instagram, well I still do have Instagram, I just don't open it very often. I used to have Facebook, deleted that years ago, probably 2017. I've never been happier since. I don't know, something about watching everyone else in their lives post on social media and be successful, and you're not doing anything. I hated that, and it's been very important to keep away from that sort of mentality, because not only will you feel better as a person, I guess you have a lot more to talk about when you're with someone in the flesh. And I guess this just shows, it's all a cycle, you know, they're dealing with emotional things in a healthy way. And males are incapable of dealing with things in a healthy way. You know, females, they get together, they talk about it, and they talk about it until they're sick of hearing about it. Males, we kind of just bottle up and we just go, yeah, nah, we're going to go do something else, or we're going to go fishing, you know? We just sort of lock up. So I think there's a really interesting distinction here, where social media has become this really strange cyberspace that governments are fully aware of and are utilizing. But at the same time, I just feel sick of it. I'm sick of the news. I'm sick of everything. I just want to have an interesting time and then look at the news when I need to, not being force-fed everything. I just hate that. And it's not being a conspiracy theorist. It's just living a normal life. You know, I want to go out to the grocery store and grab some stuff and come home. I don't want to be bombarded with 30,000 different things about certain restrictions and the fact that home loans are going up and interest rates are going down and prices are going this and this and this. Because essentially, that's how you become a boomer, because you're worried about the next biggest thing, aren't you? It's good to be informed, but finding that informed opinion is, well, you're not going to find it on Facebook, are you? Let's be honest. And that's really why I kind of don't really enjoy social media. Granted, I am present on Twitter. I am present on YouTube. I do post videos and content on Twitch as well. Obviously, I have Patreon, but Patreon's a different scenario altogether. And oh, goodness me, there are so many issues with Patreon right now. I have a big gripe, and I'm waiting for the go-ahead to publish a single video on this particular topic, because it's really an interesting one. So the way Patreon works is you pledge to someone, they take a cut of that pledge, and then the creator or whoever you're supporting gets that money, which is fantastic because it takes out all the intermediary of cancellations and fees and all the other different things that happen with a service, which is fantastic. And as a creator, I can just go, yep, support me on Patreon or whatever. The problem here is that there was an incident where I guess Patreon gave my details out to a bank, and then that bank in Australia had contacted me to tell me why was I still charging for this particular user's account, because this particular user was actually deceased. It's like, hang on. So you're telling me that this particular person you're claiming is actually deceased. Turns out, not only had Patreon fucked up royally, they had sent me the wrong contact details. They had breached their content privacy, because they never, ever would send out other content creators' details to, I guess, a bank. So the bank was questioning why I was getting the money, when really the bank should be questioning Patreon, and then the charge should be declined there, and the card be removed, and that person's status as a patron should be removed. But it was really convoluted, because this person was a part of my community, right? Apparently they had got the numbers slightly wrong, and someone else named this particular user had indeed not passed away and was live and well, and we've tried contacting through different channels, and we found that it wasn't actually the bank that he was using either. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? So anyway, I've contacted Patreon. We've been sorting out things in the background. This has been an ongoing development since the start of the year. I really do not find any joy in dealing with this, and I in fact, I'm looking for another platform to do monetary support based on, because honestly, with this kind of thing going on, it is an absolute shocker. And yeah, I'm grateful for everyone who has supported the channel, but when stuff like this happens, it really doesn't improve my trust in certain new platforms that come around for, I guess, monetary support, if you understand what I mean. And as someone who was originally dependent on YouTube income and everything combined just to meet the week-to-week goal of earning, enough money that I'd be able to feed myself, was a challenge in itself, right? Obviously, when I was developing this channel, and as things progressed, I sort of was reliant heavily on the people around me for donations, for tips, whatever. I found that incredibly challenging, because I'm someone who wants to work for things. I don't want to sit on my ass and get shit handed to me. I don't find any enjoyment out of that. In fact, I find that really, really awkward. If I haven't earned it, don't give it to me. But as the old saying goes, right? I am grateful for the people who have supported me over the years, and I'm at the current stage where I'm deciding what service to replace that with. If someone asks, hey, can I support you? This is a way, because I really like what you're doing. And don't get me wrong, I've been through the thick and thin of it. But what Patreon's done here is definitely a breach of privacy, breach of trust, and obviously the confusion with the different people in a similar region was probably on Patreon's fault, and I really do not like that. It's no fault of the banks at all, because they're only investigating a fraudulent charge, in their minds at least. So hey, we have that to deal with. And I suppose that these all issues relate to one another, but let's change the subject up again. Let's talk about my book progress. So for those of you who don't know, I'm writing a book. Essentially, it's about a bunch of lads travelling across Australia in a steam train. So it's not just limited to that. There is a bit of government anarchy and etc., loosely following what happened in Metro, except with Australian landscapes and more regional Australian issues. So it's a fascinating story-based driven narrative at the moment, from a point of first-person perspective, where we're getting multiple points of view, etc., and it's really, really challenging. So I'm the only one working on it at the moment, and I just find that it's such a time-consuming process. You have no idea how hard it is to write a book until you actually start to sit down and start writing and start planning. The amount of research you have to do, the amount of footnotes on just other random useless stuff that you cross-reference if you need it. Goodness me, it gets out of hand. It's like doing several reports on different things and coming out with different outcomes, only to present it in a paper format that you're actually telling a story with. I don't know, there's something about it that the whole lengthy process of researching an in-depth subject, for example, Victorian Railways or in New South Wales railways, for example, different states in Australia, the way the rail network's different and how we have different narrow gauges and gauges in general. We have different size width of track that trains fit on, so if you have a bigger size train, they won't run on a certain type of rail. There's all these kind of issues here. But let me tell you this much, 27,000 words currently have been written. I have 6 chapters and a prologue, and it is fantastic fun at the moment. We're probably about maybe a third of the way in, possibly. I don't know how many chapters I want to do. I don't want to keep it too long, but I don't want to keep it too short. This is going to be a proper book. I'm going to self-publish it. There will be an audiobook version, provided we get that far. I need to actually finish the book first and go through several editions and editors and so on and so forth, which, again, I'm going to all do and then publish the book myself. So hopefully, the aim is for around next year, or basically next year, I'm going to probably publish the video, not the video, but the book next year. That's the aim, at least. Although it might take another year or two after that before we get things finalized. So it's a long road process, but it's something that is so interesting about it because you're an author. It's like, how many people nowadays write a book? I get there's people that write theses and papers for their university stuff and courses. And I know there are people still actively putting pen to paper and writing a book, but something about the whole process has really, really intrigued me, and I guess I'm really interested in that one. Obviously, I'm working on 3 documentaries. I've talked about this a bit. The total script length for those 3 documentaries is 15,000 words. I've got that. I've got most of the assets. I'm editing most of the assets, and it's sort of a bit interesting to say the least. I'm editing together some pieces and figuring out generally how things work. It's a fascinating process. I've got infographics, I've got to fact check, I've got to get sorts of stuff, basically like a regular history assignment, except you're presenting it in video format. So you got to make it conducive and make sure the viewer enjoys it. So the ETA on those projects is probably another, God knows, I'll probably release them next year. That's the aim. So I'm going to be working on them on and off. And then we've got other projects too, don't we? Oh, there's a heap of other things. I've been invited to a couple of museums to do some video shoots, but again, I'm going to need film equipment, and with the current ongoing crisis, I don't think that's really possible until, next year. And obviously when traveling starts to reopen again and we somewhat get to a realm of normalcy. Now, I would do some of your comments, and probably should, but we're going to talk about other things right now. The PC upgrade path plan. Obviously, I mentioned the new Ryzen stuff, not new Ryzen stuff, the new NVIDIA-based graphics cards. Fantastic thing. Do I need them? Probably not. Do I want one? Yes, I do. I want to rebuild. I want to get a system that's capable of doing 1440p at a stable FPS at a good, decent quality. Well, War Thunder does run particularly well at 1440 on a 1070 card, so that's first generation 10 series. Obviously, the 1070, it doesn't necessarily run at a higher FPS than what I desire. A lot of other games struggle with it. Obviously, I've got a first-gen Ryzen 5, so the system itself is from 2017. It is still a mid-tier build, right? And don't get me wrong, it's still a good, fantastic PC. But I think that it's time that I upgrade for content creation purposes, and not just because I really want to. No, that's not the reason at all. But it's time that I get a U-Boot new system that would allow me to really expand and develop the content further, because I'm having issues with certain types of games. But I could just run most games on low graphics and still get a relatively decent experience. Hell, War Thunder hasn't really changed in content graphically, at least at 1440p resolution. I do struggle putting outputs to a stream, but otherwise it's perfectly usable. Now, I was going to talk about a story and also read some of your comments. I think we don't necessarily have time for that. This video is getting on 30 minutes now. So, I just want to have and just appreciate everyone for watching these videos. I do appreciate it. Thank you for listening to me rant about social media and a whole host of other different things. I'm okay. I'm doing well. I hope you lads all keep safe and continue to watch the videos. Alright boys, this video is dedicated to my cat Chaos, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.